I'm at Sublimator office and this is their product. Nice. Right now I'm doing a video with the Sublimator guy, and we are trying to understand what are the requirements and what are the needs, and we already gave a sample and there is a little bit of correction in certain things which we need to improve and match. So I'm going to put my notes and everything on that. Yes, so we are doing some notes.
Yeah.
And for the SS piece, so these are the samples from Sublimator.
Yeah. And all the pieces should have the same finish on the outside of the rings and on the base as in our samples. We're calling it a fine brush finish.
Okay.
So it's not a real rough brush, but a fairly fine brush finish. The one on your samples that you sent were a very, very high polish finish, which we don't want. We want the fine brush finish. And each ring, these are all rings, they separate like this.
Right.
They should all match. So the same brush finish, the same brush finish,
Yes.
same brush finish.
Yes.
Anything that shows should match the same color of brush finish, right?
Right.
So the problem with the super polished is it's easy to get mismatch. Also, it's not the look we're after, right? We want that's very important, that finish. The thread pitch here is also very important. Now, our manufacturer currently is talking about 20 threads per inch, but I don't know if that's correct. You can check with our threads, make sure that you get the number of threads per inch. But also he said that the fit is 2A and 2B for female, male, whichever is which. And it's a little tighter than a 2A or 2B fit. So when, I'll take this one, when you take them apart, it's very, very tight, not much wiggle. It's of course more wiggle at the beginning, but when you come in at the end, it's very tight at the end fit.
Right.
Now that's also going on to the rubber O-ring, right? Or whatever the rubber O-ring is made out of. But it's a little tighter than the 2A 2B.
So when it's in this stage, it means that you know that this noise should be less.
Yeah, it's less than on your sample. It's very loose. You can hear it clink.
Right.
And even when it gets in tight, it's still loose, right?
Right.
Right up until tight, it's loose. And the O-ring, I'm not sure if the O-ring's the right diameter of the ring. It's supposed to be, I think, we put it in here, I think it's 0.65 millimeters. But it's in the sample what the measurement is.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be loose. These are basically a little tighter, even at the end of the threading, right?
Right.
Whereas these are that's quite loose and noisy.
Right.
It's a little bit noisy, but not real, especially down here, it's a little tighter. Just smoother, and also the depth of thread is important. He says that not too deep a thread, right?
Right.
It allows for roughness of threading. It's just a finer finish to feel when people take it apart, that it's not like clunking around, okay?
Right.
And all the threads should be brushed and cleaned thoroughly. No oil left on the threads and no burrs, right? So they should all look really clean. And not dirty. Some of the ones were on yours show more gunk in there, eh? So if you could brush them out and make sure there's nothing in the threads. They should all look nice and metal in there, right?
Right.
Okay, like for instance, this one is good. That's nice and clean, bright metal in the threads, right? Whereas this one is more dirty. I don't know if it can show. but it looks not
Yes,
as clean
yes,
and
I can
bright.
see, I
not
can
as
see.
clean as bright inside the threads.
And we also need to, oh yes.
Yeah, okay, so now the thread pitch, brush thoroughly. The rings, when they, right now we've actually have a little change we'd even like on the ones that we make. Here there's, I don't know how many threads, 7 or 8 threads. It's too deep, like the number of threads here are only like, what, 4 or 5? 4
Yeah.
threads. You could make this less, the threads less deep, maybe 1 extra thread than what you actually need, so that
Okay.
because when you use this, it gets resin all in here in the threads. It's hard to clean out, so the fewer
Right.
threads to clean out, the better.
Right.
So you only need to go as deep as you need to go, plus say 1 thread around,
one
so
thread
that you
around.
don't ever hit the end of a thread, right?
Okay.
And when it closes, it should be just nice, smooth, close, very tight on the O-ring, right? No gap in there, no gap in here, see?
Right.
Okay, so that's generally, and that's on the female of the thread, fewer threads on the female side of the thread, right? Okay, so then we're just going to talk just about the base itself. This is called, and I've put the name of every part so we can order by part name.
Right.
This is an M base, MABSAE, so, or a master kit base. It's stainless steel. Now, the monkey on the bottom. That's our piece.
Yeah.
That's actually a little better than the one that we have, but the one I really like, actually, the monkey on the one that you sent. The thickness of the line
Thickness and
on
depth.
the engraving is very nice.
Right. Thickness and depth. Both.
Yeah,
Because here he increased the size, and with the size, depth also got increased.
yeah. Here's one I think is even
Yes.
as well for the big one,
Yes.
and which is good. I really like that, and it's very finely done. So I wrote monkey is good on here.
Right. Thank you.
On yours. The thing is that and the polish also on the other one here, one of them has bad polish. I don't know if you can see the bad polish on there behind it. There's roughness in here.
Yeah.
And on this one,
Can I talk about this, because I know what they
Yeah,
exactly
okay.
did. To clean this thing up, because they finish here when they should have finished at the center, they got this, and when you were doing the engraving, that time you realized that you need to clean this. So
Yeah,
because of this
that
cleaning,
extra
you
ring
got
showing
all
there.
these things which is really bad, which is not acceptable, and we need to work on this.
Yeah. So that extra change of rings there, right? That little
Yes.
ring around here should be like smooth all the way in.
Sure.
But I like actually on the bottom is the only place that I like the high polish.
Okay.
If you can do a high polish like this on the bottom with
Sure.
the monkey, it looks great.
Sure.
Ours we're using not trying to do a brush finish, but it gets patchy on the
Sure.
bottom because of the different layers. I think it's hard to do, so I like the high polish on the bottom, no problem. It's the only
Sure.
place though, and no ring there, right?
Yes.
So,
Got it.
okay. So now the next piece is this one on your sample, and on ours, I'll take it off. Oh, I can't take it off. Let me just stop it. I'll get the wrench. Okay, this is the Master Universal ring, we call it, MUR. It's the one with the 2 monkeys on the side. This is up, with the monkey's face up. Same brush finish. The monkeys are good on our sample. See, they're nice and clean, like similar to the one that you have. Very fine line. If you can make it exactly the same thickness of line, it's great. And we'll get you the logo there so you can copy exactly the logo.
Right.
And I like this one. That's really nice. So on yours, of course, it was quite a bit rougher. done
Yes.
freehand or whatever almost, right?
Right.
So, our base, this is your sample base. When these two to go together, got to make sure that the outside diameter of the base is the exact same outside diameter of the ring, so that there's no mismatch in the joint there.
So right now the upper part is a little bit bigger than the base. That's
Yeah,
why it's
on
like
this
kind
one,
of a standing
on this
out.
one. On yours.
Yes, on ours.
Yeah.
In this, you can see it's like pretty much, flat and blending very nicely.
Yeah.
But in this one, I'm gonna put camera a little closer so you can have
little,
a look.
it's a little bit different.
Very little. Can we
it's-
keep it on the bottom?
Yeah, okay.
On the ground. Yeah. So, yes.
It's
So
maybe not as obvious on that one as
Yes.
this one.
it's a
One of
very
them, one of them
different
was a
size.
bit more. You can
So
get
if
your finger on
see,
that.
this is
But here it
sample
goes
which
right
we
around.
gave. In this sample, it gets stuck here. But if I use this sample, it
very
straight away
smooth.
goes
Yeah.
down. So it has to be exactly same.
Yeah, and
But in
is
this, I can't do it. My hand always gets stuck here. I have to like. You can hear this noise.
right on. Which is this little guy.
Choke.
Yeah, just a
choke
choke
valve.
valve. We call it CV initials. Of the two holes, when it's upright like this, the choke valve goes in the left hole.
Right.
Here. So this is left, this is right. So this one goes in here. I'm sending you the samples of our choke valve. We'll continue to use our supplied choke valve, but I sent you 4 samples.
Okay.
The tolerance on these threads is not very high, so it'll go in different depths depending on which choke valve we use. So what we want to do though is make the hole a little bigger than the ones that we have. So you want to make this hole a little bigger, because when you put ours in, even with a wrench, it still is out about 3 or 4. What we're there's 3 or 4 ring threads showing. What we want to do is make that hole big enough so that there's 1 or 2 threads showing when
Right.
it's tightened, just mildly with a wrench, not really crank, but just so that somebody could easily get it off, but still tight so it doesn't roll off.
Right.
So instead of 3 or 4 threads, we want to make the hole a little bit bigger. So this hole is going to be a little bit bigger than this one, because we originally made them the same size, but then this sticks out a lot. This one on your sample, the threads go in too far, because when they go in that far, you can over thread it, and then it's very loose here. So what we want to do is make the hole so that the threads are backed off, more like in our sample here, exactly like that. So you're showing 1 or 2 threads when it's really tight. 1 or 2 threads here as well. This one's a little too tight. It shows 1 thread, sort of.
Right.
But 2 threads would be best. Because they take this off and on, off and on, off and on. If it wears so that it's loose here, they can go 1 more round and get it tight again.
Right.
Then take it off, take it off, take it off. They still have another thread. So 2 threads showing, 2 threads showing when it's tight. And we use a wrench to
So
tighten.
even here, 2 threads. Even this
Yeah,
part.
both sides. 2 threads, 2 threads. So you can use a wrench, but you just want to, on this one, to get that tight to 2. This one you can hold with a wrench and tighten this to
Right.
2 threads. But it'll be tight in the upright position, right? The way we ship it is we put it tight there, and then we back it off like that. And then we ship from here down as one piece, so that all they
Okay.
do is bring it up. It's really nice and tight there.
Okay.
And then they use it there. If it's not tight enough, they can go really hard one more turn, right?
Right.
Okay. So which is this piece here on your sample, this piece here on my sample. So what we want to do, it's a hex nut, double hex nut. Yours you didn't polish. This one's polished.
And this
A
one has
15
a smooth edges. And this one
Yeah,
is
it's
bit
a little
sharper.
rounded edges because it's just more refined like the rest of the product. So you can round the edges of the hex nuts as long as they're very similarly rounded. And it doesn't have to be a super bright finish again, but as polished as you can get it with, because it's a little harder to make exactly the right finish. But it should fit. This is right here I have a 16 millimeter wrench, which is a little bit loose.
Little
But
bit loose.
it might be, I don't know, I don't have a 15. This is the one I had.
Yeah.
It's probably very close to a 16 millimeter. It could be English too, right? And then turned it, then polished it down a little bit. So the dimension isn't that far from the hex rod he had. This is, I don't know if you used a hex or you made this Texas,
Yeah, I don't know.
but this is too large.
Yeah, this is.
See, won't go on. It won't go on by at least a millimeter. And I don't know if he polished it that far, so it's... Anyway, you can measure it with the calipers
sure.
there and get
Yeah,
the
sure.
right one. Again, the two threads, and two threads showing. And it goes on the right of the two holes. Choke valve left, that right. Now, the logo... Yeah, the logo, is there a logo on something here? I got logo, same pitch that as ours. Yeah, on this ring. I like these. The two monkeys are great, the way here on our sample.
Yes.
Okay, so that's pretty well that part. The O-rings, we've sent the sample in a bags, and we have the exact dimensions of the O-rings.
Right.
And they should be installed on each piece when they're shipped.
Right.
Every ring on the male end has an O-ring.
Right.
Now, on the oil catcher, which is this piece here and here, on your sample, the O-ring is either the wrong size or something's a little wrong. Either the threading's the wrong or because when you tighten them together,
I think it's a little thin.
your O-ring disappears altogether. There's no pressure from the O-ring on there at all. It's quite loose and like this. The O-ring is not, so the threads might be made a little tighter, so they're a little more smoothly putting it on. And the O-ring should be visible. On this one, you'll see that in there, when you take it off, it's nice and tight thread. No wiggle. The O-ring, there is no O-ring on this one. Okay, I'm not sure of the size of this O-ring, but you can caliper it, right? And get it exact. We've included samples of this O-ring. When it's on the machine, it threads on no wobbly.
Yeah.
And you can see, you can actually still see the O-ring.
Yeah.
Because it's a large enough diameter of the ring that it
Right. So
tightens, and you can still
put,
see it because it's important to be able to easily finger remove this.
Can you put this next to this one?
The two.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see this.
Yeah. So as you can see, our ones is like a little bit thinner
Yeah.
than the other one.
So what we're thinking of doing, so too tight, we were thinking of putting on the bottom an Allen wrench like this. You want to take a picture of mine?
Yes.
So we're thinking of putting an Allen
It's
wrench.
a 3 mm, right?
Hmm?
It's a 3 mm.
3 millimeter
3 millimeter. Yes.
hole for an Allen wrench.
Okay.
Deep enough so you get a good purchase on
Right.
on the wrench, right?
Right.
So probably, 5 or 6 millimeters deep, so you really can really get that Allen wrench in there, and it'll look good on them. They want a monkey on here, is one thing, so it's going to interfere with that.
Yeah.
What we'll do instead then Allen wrench part.
We are not doing the
hex
hex
the Allen,
part.
for the Allen wrench.
Yes.
What we'll do instead is put a monkey on the bottom.
Right.
You can put a small monkey, the thin line of the monkey on there would look
Right.
really nice.
I'm just panicking.
Right.
Okay? I
Right.
think that'd look really great on there. And then it identifies this part. instead of a phony part, it's our part.
Yes.
The monkey. Okay, that's called the oil catcher. If you can make, if you look at our sample, it's got a well in there. You could make the well a little deeper if
Right.
you want, if you can make it deeper without affecting anything. And also, I noticed that on yours sample, the hole is got quite a pointy cone to it. If you could make it a little less, see the cone, this is a flatter bottom. On this is our sample here in my hand here. It's a little flatter bottom. This is a little more pointy cone. It's harder to get the oil out of there when it's more cone. So if you flatten it and make it a little deeper, it'll hold more content.
Okay.
Okay. Example, the edge here is because maybe it's highly polished. There's no bevel. So if you see here, there's a very distinct bevel. Same very distinct bevel on this side. Very nice. This has got a little bit of a bevel on this side, but none on here. So we want to bevel both edges at this same amount. That's about a 8 millimeter bevel. Now, on the difference between yours and ours, this is a very, same again, because of the polish probably, it rounded the corner. See the nice, tight looking, very fine bevel? Comes up, very nice bevel, not rounded, like that.
Right.
The writing is good. We're going to send you that emblem so that you can make it exactly the same as that without guesswork.
Okay.
Also, the inside diameter here of this has to be exactly 14 millimeters.
Okay.
This was your Teflon piece. It almost goes all the way in because actually the 14 millimeters should be right about here. This is 15 it should be 15 millimeter outside diameter at the top, 13 here. 14 actually comes somewhere around about 3 millimeters deep. You'll see when we put this in here,
Right.
you get about almost 3 millimeters, 2.5, 3 millimeters sticking out, whereas yours disappears. And that the reason it worked on the one that yours, it sticks out the right amount, but this is smaller here and this is smaller here. So we're talking strictly 14 millimeters here,
Okay.
15 on the top outside diameter, 13 on the outside this diameter, then you get that stick out because that's exactly where it's 14. Right? So
Right.
this inside diameter is 14.
Okay.
And this is called a Teflon 14, T14 we call it.
Okay. T14.
Well, I'm talking about, that catches that one, all right. The one thing about these Teflon pieces, I don't know if there's different grades of Teflon, but it should be a pretty hard Teflon if there is grades. Very hard. Not this looks wobbly. In cut, it's also grayer. I don't know if you can see the difference in color.
Yes.
These have to be kept very clean. So because they're hard to clean each time, if we have to clean each one before we sell.
Can you keep both of you together? So I can see the color. Yeah, see,
Yeah,
it's
they're very
pretty clean.
very white color.
And this is the one which
Yeah.
we provided, so you can see there's a little bit of difference in colors.
Also, if you do a lot of metal work, now see my fingers are got metal on them. As soon as you start holding these with that, so they should probably be using gloves when they make these.
Yes.
Wear gloves. As soon as they're made, they're completely perfectly white. Put them in bags already right then.
Okay.
And don't take them out because even from our manufacturer now, we get them half are clean, half are dirty. He's got metal hands, right? So when the two of them fit together, they should fit the same way. So the inside of here inside diameter of the big one, which is the Teflon 18, should be 14 millimeters inside, so that the 14 millimeters, because this is 15, 14 is right about here. So when you put the two together, you get like that. Same 3 millimeters sticking out same as when you put it in here, right?
Right.
That's more than 3. That's yours. This on mine. That's the fit. Same. This is an adapter. It goes in, fits the same. Then this goes into. This is 19 outside, 17 outside, 14 inside. This fits in an 18 millimeter piece. So if it's 19 here, 18 comes right about there. So and there's lots of bongs that when you put that in, it comes right to the 18. It's called an 18 millimeter because right there is 18, about down there. And if you make this 19 outside and this 17 outside, then 18 is right about there.
Right.
And I'm sure that's the way it works. I mean, you can use your calipers to verify that, right?
Right.
Outside, insides have to be exactly the same. Okay, so they fit together like that. When we come to this is called a 45 millimeter adapter ring. It's slightly different. We actually sent the guy that sent a sample previously, or took the sample to, used an older style. So this is the one you made. You can see it goes like a ski slope
Right.
this way, whereas this one goes ski slope but then straight down. So like this. This is the one that we use now, and this is yours, shiny. Different shape there. And actually, there is a difference in the lip. See? On this one.
Yes,
This
it
is
is.
thin lip on yours. This is a thicker lip. So
Yes.
through here should be the same. So basically caliper everything and make it exactly the same.
Okay, cool.
You know? And the same thing on depth of ring. When we screw this one in, we want fewer rings in here, right?
Okay.
Same number of rings of thread here. Okay? So just remember, this is going to be a different sample, the adapter ring,
Yeah, sure.
than our previous one. Okay, so that fits on. That's your sample. This is our sample. On our take this off. If you look at these are both exactly the same. When you put the nipple in. This is I call this the Master Universal Base Launcher, because it launches everything else. So you can either use it with the adapter ring and then put this piece on, right? So this goes tight down, so there's no crack, no gap between the two pieces. This is used with this 45 millimeter glass piece. The other piece, which is exactly the same base, you use with this ring, which is called a Master Tube ring.
Right.
Different from this. This has got a 45 a slope inside. This shape here. This is a totally different ring called the Master Tube ring because it holds this glass tube.
Right.
Okay, so it screws in the same way, and so you can convert between the two. If you own both rings, you can use with a glass, or we put on our glass tube. This fits right in here. Then it screws in here.
Right.
This goes on here. The two O-rings are on the bottom for stability.
Nice.
So we only need the one O-ring up here. And the cap's on really nice. Now these are basically equivalent machines, except this has the whip like a hookah.
Right.
This has a glass like a bong.
Okay.
Okay? So the thing about the the thing about this ring is it has to fit very snugly onto these O-rings. These O-rings are made with an exact 2.0 plus 0.00 tolerance. So they cut the grooves in the glass so that outside is exactly 2.0. It can be a little
Okay.
less than 2.0, but not more. The same thing with the ring here is the inside diameter has to be 2.00 plus or minus nothing. Minus 0.00. It can be a little bigger, 0.05 inches we're talking about here, 2 inches across, but it can't be smaller because if it's a little bit smaller, so you have to ream it out very carefully to make sure that it's exactly 2.00 all the way around, very
Right.
similar. Otherwise it'll be tight on here. And trying to get it on, you can break the tube, right? People or mess up the O-rings. The O-rings
Yes.
will all bind and everything. So see how nicely that fits on there. I'll
And
send
once
we're
you
gonna
spoil-
send this tube too with it.
And once you spoil the ring, you have to put
Yeah,
a new
then
one.
you have to
right?
put new rings on.
Okay.
So and also then even new rings, it's very very difficult to get in if the hole is less than 2.0.
Okay.
See how nice that is? Just
Yes.
really smooth going on. Okay, so that's the master tube ring. The main thing is the
Edge.
this tolerance on the inside,
Yes.
and there's three of these writing sublimator on the outside going around, equally spaced. Okay, we're not, the ring is what Abby makes for us. The tube rather, the tube.
Right.
The cap you haven't seen yet because we haven't seen that ring.
Yes.
You haven't seen this ring. This threads this piece on here. And all you have to do with this is caliper everything just the same exact way. We've got the little monkey on, nice fine line, the sublimator beyond vaporization in there. Plus inside here, same thing, exactly 2.0, can be a 0.05 bigger, 0.05 inches bigger than 2.0,
Right.
but not less. So you have to ream that very carefully. It's never can be more than or less than
Right.
2.0 inches.
Because we have same thing on
Same
the top
thing
of
here.
it.
We got the O-ring that it has to just really look at that. Just slides on perfectly. In
Yes.
fact, it's good to have. I'll include 2 of these with O-rings.
Right.
So you have to test them. They should just go on there. Nice, right?
Right.
That's very important. Otherwise, if we get them and they're just a little wrong size, it can be a disaster.
Right.
Right? How nice that is. The reason we have 2 rings on the bottom is because it's going in to that depth. And if you only use one, you get a wobble. Right?
Right.
2 gives it stability.